Do you want to climb like Magnus Midtbø? Because we're about to show you how. In this video series, we're breaking down how elite climbers move and how that can influence our own training and technique. Magnus Midtbø is known for being incredibly strong, but when we dig a little bit deeper, we can see some really simple movement tactics that he's using, and we're going to use these to improve our own climbing. One of Magnus's standout abilities is his pressing strength. An amazing case study for this is in a recent competition he did in Japan. It was a scramble format of 100 boulders, and your top 10 hardest boulders counted towards your score. Because of Magnus's previous competition experience, he quickly clocked onto the idea that if he picked boulders that suited his style, he would get the highest score possible.
I figured that because there's 100 boulders here, you need to just try a bunch of them. Some will feel easy, some feel hard, but also just your personal style.
In the second half of this comp, we quickly see him absolutely crushing these pressing style boulders. If you know Magnus, you've probably seen him do his one arm muscle up. And he's also used this kind of strength to burn off climbers like Ondra and Bosi. In this example where they set their own boulders, Magnus is able to do a move that both Adam and Will aren't able to do.
Really impressed how strong you are in the shoulder.
So it's fair to say Magnus is absolutely world class at this kind of pressing technique. If we go back to the competition example, there's actually one of the harder boulders he manages to break the beater on by using his amazing shoulder and pressing strength to get through it. We're going to start by first developing the physical strength for this, because it is way more than just technique when it comes to how Magnus moves. To improve our pressing ability, we want to improve two key areas, and this is going to be our tricep strength and our rear shoulder strength. A really good option for this is tricep dips. Now, ideally, you're going to want to do these on some dipping bars. This also gives you the option to add weight in the future to progressively overload. If you don't have dipping bars, I'm going to suggest that a bench is a good option for this as well, and maybe a more entry-level version, which doesn't need to be done at body weight, would be something like a tricep kickback, which is also going to load the tricep in a slightly different range of motion and get the shoulders involved as well. For the rear shoulder strength, I think a good option here would be a reverse fly. This is going to get the rear delts really involved, but also a lot more of the muscles around the shoulder. I think this kind of strength is really important for when we're turning something like a deep Gaston into a pressing position. We really want to get that elbow pulled behind our body. When it comes to practicing this kind of style on the wall, I'll be honest, it's pretty difficult with most commercial gym sets. You're going to find these moves that actually turn up more on competition bouldering styles. So if you're going to practice this pressing style of climbing, what you're most likely going to need to do is try and force these moves on climbs or make up your own climbs. So this might be taking a boulder which has not got any press moves in it, but trying to remove holds to force this kind of climb. Or you can go totally freeform and just select random holds on the wall, which are going to force you to press and mantle your way through the climb. Another standout feature of Magnus's climbing is his leg clamping ability. You'll see him do this a lot on his climbing, where he's creating tension between his legs, either clamping between holds or using things like bicycles. On this green V12, you can see Magnus actually makes the final moves for this boulder by clamping between his feet and not cutting loose until he's established on the finish hold. This is an excellent way to create tension through the body when you don't have positive footholds and you need to create opposition between two different holds. Many climbers do neglect their lower body strength training, but if you want to climb like Magnus, you're going to need strong legs. Two exercises I'd recommend here would be something like the Copenhagen plank, which is a good core and adductor strengthening exercise, and maybe something like a sumo deadlift, which is going to take a conventional deadlift and modify it so that we're putting more force through the adductor muscles. The added benefit of something like a sumo deadlift is it's not only going to improve the strength in your lower body, but for some people that are quite inflexible, this is going to really develop your mobility as well. The key thing here is that we want to train the inside of the thigh. This is where we're going to get that clamping ability using the inside of our foot. To work this on the wall, it's going to require some mindful and deliberate practice. I'd suggest that you're climbing your normal boulder set, but you're really looking for opportunities where you can create tension between two holds and make moves without cutting loose. I'll keep this one short because you've probably already been thinking it. Magnus has incredible core strength. I think the examples here are interesting because this is where his feet cut from the hold and he basically barely moves from the position he's in, maintaining incredible core stability. Magnus is actually amazing at not cutting loose when he's in these roof or steep overhang positions, and actually when he does need to cut loose, you can see how intentional and controlled it is because he's got such good core strength. A great exercise to develop core strength, which is related to that first example, would be the front lever. Now, the front lever is quite advanced, so you're going to want to choose a variation of front lever, which which is appropriate to your current level. We'll start with something like lever tucks and then maybe moving to single leg front levers. The front lever is predominantly a lat exercise, so I'm also going to throw in the mix some toe to bar exercises, so that we're working the hip flexors and the abdominals a bit more too. My preference here would be alternating side to side, so you're getting a little bit more twisting strength in there as well. An honourable mention here would be the deadlift as well, because this is a good exercise for that hip extension and pushing hard through the feet in roof terrain. I won't go into the details of deadlifting here because it's an exercise that really should be done well, and we've covered that in previous videos. A really good on the wall exercise to develop this core strength and control would be something like board pauses. The aim of this session is to make long moves between holds while maintaining tension with your feet throughout the move. After you've done that, you want to control the cut loose and swap to the next foot hold so that you're 1, maintaining tension, and 2, controlling the cut loose with your core. Once you're happy doing this kind of climbing on a moderate overhang, you want to progress this to a really steep overhang, something that's even a roof, so that you're working your feet up to positions that are at or even above the height of your hands. Something you'll notice about Magnus's climbing is that he moves really fast. In fact, he finishes boulders really quickly. And a technique that comes up time and time again that allows him to move really fast between boulders is his subtle use of the Pogo Technique. In this example, you'll see that Magnus doesn't swap feet, where some of us might consider that the more efficient option. And what he does instead is he will flick his hips towards the next hold in a kind of subtle pogo move, and this will unweight the hand for that move. This is going to be a trade-off in some cases. If we were to choose to swap feet and twist into the wall, this might use less strength, but of course we're making more moves. What Magnus is doing here is saving himself time, doing less moves, maybe using a little bit of his strength that he has in reserve, but this is also going to mean he can move at a much faster pace, and so we can consider it still a very efficient use of energy. To work on this ability, we want to work on our Pogo technique, and this will improve our understanding of how to use our hips for momentum on the wall. An exercise you can do to develop this is using what I'll call a 1 foot only drill. Essentially, every time you make a move, you can only have 1 foot on the wall, and you want to make sure it's the opposite foot in the direction you're moving. The free foot, which is going to be hanging in space, is there to generate movement. Remember, with pogos, it's not about generating just momentum from the foot. You should be connecting that momentum from your foot into your hip. If this is a really new style of moving for you, start really basic and just keep it left, right, so that you're keeping this square on position, because this is often where pogos are going to turn up most. If you like the format of this video, let us know if you want us to make another one. We've been thinking we could do this about Stefano Ghisolfi, Anna Hazelnut, or Will Bosi. Let us know in the comments below.